Hey, what's up, guys? Scar here from theScore eSports here with Alex from INTZ, the current coach. Alex, actually, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Alexander Haibel. I go by Abaxial in game. I've been coaching INTZ for a year and a half. I am American. Moved to Brazil at that time to work with INTZ. Before that, I was just kind of a nobody. I was a master solo queue player. I also did some writing, statistical work, a few other things.
How exactly did you get to the coaching position from like North American Master Solo Queue, essentially?
Well, I played a lot of solo queue in college. Had certain aspirations of going pro, but then I moved away, and my ping was awful. So mm, I couldn't I couldn't play anymore. So I had to find another outlet for what I was doing, and that ended up being writing. I worked for Cloth Five. I worked for Lol King. I worked did a little for Gold Pretend, and then later I got some success. Later that year, I applied to be a coach for some teams. Riot was announcing coaches. This is like late 2014, and so that was interesting because I got rejected. I applied to like 5 teams and they all said, no, we don't think you're good enough. But, I kept trying. I kept thinking about what was wrong with my applications. What could I do to improve myself? And eventually I improved enough to become good enough to work with a professional team. But it's a very hard process. Nobody can really teach you how to think about the game. You just have to figure it out by yourself.
I always tend to ask coaches this specific question. What exactly do you consider to be your coaching style, so to speak?
Well, there's 2 ways I can answer that question. One is from a game strategy standpoint. The other is from a what I am as a person and like how I interact with them. I think the first is actually more interesting. So I think there's 2 fundamental styles to win at League of Legends and coach at League of Legends. I think there's being a macro coach, winning the game through superior map play, and there's being a team fighting, sort of focusing on the players and how you just team fight better than the other team when you're grouped up. And it's not as if the 2 styles are incompatible with each other, but you have limited time, and sometimes emphasizing one over the other, emphasizing some of the trade-offs is better. For example, earlier this year towards MSI, when it was super easy to force team fights with like teleport, tank top laners, it was very much a team fight meta. You didn't actually have to be that good of a macro team to succeed. However, when the meta shifted a little more this year, Dragons being devalued a bit, they nerfed engage somewhat, et cetera, et cetera. I think macro matters a little bit more. So to get back to the original question, what am I? I've shifted around a little bit. I would say I started out as a macro coach, and I've ping-ponged between the 2 a bit. But right now, I'd say I'm a bit more back at macro to like try and fit the needs of the game right now. World's meta is very much about early game and macro. It's not really that much about grouped up team fighting. So yeah.
I find through long periods of time, coaches improve over time. People a lot of times talk to me about how players improve, but no one really talks about like coaches improving as well. So what would you say would be like the biggest thing you've learned throughout the years that you've been a coach?
Well, I think the learning process is definitely something that's very important as a coach. You do need to reinvent yourself. It's not just enough to have, this is my theory of the game, and you play it, and I'm just going to repeat this until the end of time. I mean, players are smart. They will remember what you hear, and you need to find new stuff. Also, the game keeps evolving. You need to find our stuff. I would say that this is sort of related to the learning process. The most important thing to learn is when you're missing something, when you need to advance, and that's when you are too mistake-driven in your analysis. When you see, oh, well, this team is losing because they did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong and this wrong, and okay, that's really simple. That's nothing. I think the first time I really noticed that was last year during Season 5 Worlds, where you had like teams that could lane swap and teams that couldn't. And then every time there was a team that couldn't lane swap, I was just like, after like 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm not watching this game anymore. This is worthless. This is a waste of my time. But that's not really true. There's actually, still other parts of the game, still other important things. So that's when I realized, you have to be about what this team should be doing or what are like, and that's, if you have that sort of mentality, then you can see some of the more subtle mid and late game things. And so every time I feel like, I don't really have that sense or like all I see are mistakes, then I realize, no, I'm not quite picking up on it fully. There's something more here.
A lot of times when coaches have problems, they tend to consult their actual players. Which of your players do you love to work with?
I think the easiest two to work with consistently. Well, Revolta is the most articulate. The my jungler, he is sort of like the team captain. He's the one who, you know, likes to articulate the strategies to me and stuff like that, or like what his opinion is or what the team's sort of general opinion is. Um, Other than that, I think Macau is very easygoing, has the best overall attitude from day to day. He's a very bright and cheerful guy, whereas other people it's sort of like up and down, up and down. Um, Yang, my top laner, is the guy who I don't need to tell anything twice to. He just sort of fixes it, and he's it's probably why he improves the fastest in terms of individual skill. But I didn't mention Jocks or Talkers, but they have their own positives as well.
All right, let's bring this all back to Worlds. You guys are here. Week one's done. You guys are currently 1-2. How's your Worlds experience been so far?
Well, it's been fun. I'm a bit of a nobody, so it's kind of cool to actually, meet some people. Oh my God, I just met Scarra. No. But it's interesting. It's both easier and harder than you would think it'd be. Um, like in terms of strategical preparation, it's not as much work as I thought it'd be because most of the learning process already took place during the year. I think a lot of teams are actually in about the same spot in terms of, how they understand the game, what they're like trying to look for. It's just who can perform it best, most consistently on game day. But it just doesn't feel like there's any secrets right now. It feels like most of it's been figured out already.
Let me ask you specifically about the format. So the format of the first group stage was essentially everyone plays everyone once. And the second week, this current week, you guys are going to be playing one group at a time, potentially playing 2 games in a row. How do you think about the format overall of a group stage?
I prefer the first week format where you have it a little more spread out. You have more preparation time. The 3 games in a day thing is a bit more of a test. Some would say that's a cool thing. We're certainly used to that because we played the International Wildcard 3 times already, and that has these really cramped group stages where you're playing 8 teams over a couple of days. So I mean, we're used to that. It doesn't always produce high quality games, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Give me your overview of your group, like your specific group, after like 1 week of playing against them.
Well, my initial thought would be that this is going to be a pretty average group in terms of like the overall strength of worlds, and that's why I was excited to see it. I thought we had a pretty good chance. Now it actually seems like it's one of the stronger groups. In particular, I was glad Nox got Group A, and we were getting Group C because I thought Group A would be harder. Most people now would probably say Group C is harder than Group A after G2's unfortunate performance. So I think if we pass this group, it will show like, oh, we didn't get an easy group. We definitely like performed. Jury's still out on H2K. I think there's some things they do at a really high level, but the team fighting criticisms people have had in the past, those are also true as well. AHQ, I think H2K kind of beat themselves against AHQ. I feel we did the same, but maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. I don't think AHQ will pass the group, but we'll see what happens.
Is there any kind of specific prep that you guys had to maybe adjust to? You talk about you guys being very used to long ass group stage games, and you're probably one of the only teams that are used to that kind of format. I know NA recently switched from best of ones, as well as like all the other regions aren't doing best of ones either. So, like, do you guys have any kind of special prep?
Um, we do, but I wouldn't say I'm actually that good at it. Honestly, at every wild card, I actually lost on the first day. So, but as time went on and it progressed, we learned the meta, we adapted. So, I think we are pretty well prepared for what we're doing now. I feel our grasp on the meta wasn't amazing coming in. I could also blame us not going to Korea and not having a boot camp for that, but whatever. I think we have a pretty good feel for it now, though, and I think we will do well tomorrow. Like our drafts were fine in the first week. It's not as if I felt I made major mistakes, but I've learned a few things. I understand a few stylistic choices that could have made them better.
Give me your predictions. I'm not going to say of the whole group. Give me if you guys make it out of the group, which team is making it out with you?
I think it's EDG. I think H2K have slightly better macro, but not enough to where they can beat EDG. I think H2K are a very aggressive team. EDG are just so used to playing that against that in China. I think you have to have a slightly different style to play against EDG. And I don't think EDG want to lose to AHQ either. So I think it's EDG.
All right, great. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say to the fans out there? Any new fans? Anything you want to say to new fans out there?
Thanks for watching. I made a rookie move at the beginning of this interview, looking at the camera. But yeah, I'd like to thank our sponsors, especially G2. Yeah, not G2. What the fuck? Logitech, Nvidia, and Twitch. Also to all our new international fans, Chinese and other elsewhere. Thank you for watching. I hope we can continue to impress on the international stage.